Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to take standard local service protocols and industry standards and transform them into your ultimate survival guide for maintaining your HVAC system. Look, if you own a home, your heating and cooling setup is absolutely one of the most expensive and, frankly, most critical pieces of infrastructure you rely on every single day. Yet, we rarely give it a second thought, right? Well, until it completely fails on us. So in this explainer, we're going to dive into exactly how you can protect your equipment, catch problems early, and ultimately safeguard your wallet.
To really set the stakes, I want you to picture an immediate, visceral nightmare. Imagine your air conditioner just completely quitting on a 95-degree afternoon with absolutely oppressive humidity. Or, on the flip side, picture your furnace shutting down at midnight in January as temperatures drop into the freezing teens. When your system fails during these extreme weather shifts, it's not just a minor inconvenience anymore. It rapidly becomes a severe health risk during extreme heat and a massive safety concern during winter freezes. You definitely need to know how to handle this.
So, here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the climate challenge, move on to common warning signs, lay out the golden rules, tackle the big repair or replace dilemma, and finish up with the professional fix.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the climate challenge. We're going to look at the intense environmental stressors that are testing your system's limits right now. Your HVAC system is basically stuck in a brutal environmental tug-of-war. Think about it. Systems in areas with extreme humidity and 90-plus-degree summers have to run continuously for months just to keep up. That severely strains the compressors and refrigerant lines. And then, the seasons swing wildly. That exact same equipment has to switch gears to heating mode as temperatures plummet into the freezing teens. This constant, aggressive cycling back and forth between extreme summer heat and freezing winter cold wears down internal components way faster than if you lived in a moderate, steady climate.
But the weather isn't the only antagonist here. There's actually a hidden enemy right beneath your feet. In regions with clay-heavy soil, the ground dramatically expands and contracts whenever moisture changes. This shifting actually moves your foundation over time, which can literally pull apart and separate your underground ductwork connections. So you are just battling rapid temperature swings outside. Your home might be secretly leaking expensive conditioned air straight into your attic or crawl space. Yikes.
Let's move on to Section 2, common HVAC warning signs. Here is how you can identify failures before they become full-blown emergencies. Okay, so the absolute most crucial point to remember here is this. An air conditioning system that is running nonstop without actually dropping the temperature in your home is a massive, flashing red flag. This specific symptom usually points to one of three major issues. You might have low refrigerant because of a leak, your compressor could be actively failing, or your evaporator coils have completely frozen solid due to restricted airflow. If you just ignore this and hope it gets better, the heat stress will just amplify the problem until the whole unit literally dies. You also want to be vigilantly watching out for sudden, unexplained spikes in your energy bills or noticing that certain rooms have wildly inconsistent temperatures. If one room feels like an icebox while the rest of the house is sweltering, that points directly back to those duct leaks we talked about earlier, or it means your system is undersized. On the heating side of things, if your furnace keeps shutting off before reaching the set temperature, you might be dealing with a faulty igniter or, even worse, a cracked heat exchanger. And that can actually become a really dangerous carbon monoxide hazard, so you definitely don't want to mess around with that.
Let's dive into Section 3, the golden rules. We're going to pull back the curtain on some incredible insider tips for extending your equipment's life. Our very first golden rule revolves around the number 2. This is the 2-foot rule. You absolutely must maintain at least 24 inches of physical clearance all the way around your outdoor condenser unit. That means you need to keep shrubs, fences, fast-growing vines, and lawn equipment far away. Why is this so crucial? Well, summer humidity already pushes your equipment to the absolute brink. If you restrict the airflow with overgrown vegetation, you're forcing the system to work twice as hard. That throws the refrigerant pressures completely out of balance and leads to premature, incredibly expensive compressor failure.
Next up, we have the number 3. And seriously, this one rule might just save you thousands of dollars in emergency repairs.
Welcome to the 3-minute rule. If you ever shut off your AC manually, you must wait a minimum of 3 minutes before you restart it. Here's what's happening behind the scenes. When a system shuts down, the high and low refrigerant pressures inside need time to equalize. If you get impatient and just flip the thermostat right back on, you are forcing the compressor to start against incredibly high pressure. That causes immense mechanical stress. So do yourself a favor, resist the urge to constantly fiddle with the thermostat and let the system complete its natural cycles.
Moving right along to Section 4, repair or replace.
Let's talk about the most stressful financial decision a homeowner has to make.
Have you ever heard of the $5,000 rule? It is a brilliantly simple mathematical formula that immediately tells you if it's time to just let the old unit go. Let me break it down. Say you have a 12-year-old unit, and your technician says it needs a $500 compressor repair. Well, 12 times 500 equals $6,000. Since $6,000 is over our $5,000 threshold, it signals that pouring more money into this aging, inefficient equipment is simply a bad investment. In this case, replacing it is going to be the financially smarter move for sure.
Now, let's break down the actual cost factors you're likely to encounter. At the basic end of the spectrum, you have simple fixes, things like thermostats, filters, or replacing a contactor, which is basically just the electrical switch that powers the unit. Mid-range jobs start involving full system diagnostics and refrigerant recharges. But the high-end costs, those hit hard when you need a compressor replaced or if you have to install a completely new split system where you have both an indoor and an outdoor unit for, say, a 2,000 square foot house. A house of that size typically requires a 3 to 4 ton unit, and if it's a 2-story home, you might even have to factor in the extra cost of advanced zoning systems.
If you do run the numbers and find yourself in the replacement category, keep these purchasing factors in mind. First off, you need to understand that systems exposed to high humidity and intense seasons realistically only have a lifespan of about 12 to 15 years. If you must buy a new one, try your hardest to do it in the fall or early winter. Seasonal demand plummets then, which gives you much better pricing and faster installation times. And finally, whatever you do, don't miss out on the 2025 Federal Energy Efficiency Tax Credits. They apply to systems meeting specific SEER 2 and EER2 ratings, and they can significantly offset your upfront costs.
Finally, let's explore Section 5, the professional fix. We are going to decode the professional resolution process.
When you call for help, a reliable, honest contractor will always follow this clear, transparent 3-step process. First is dispatch. They should send someone who arrives with a fully stocked truck, so they don't have to waste time making return trips. Second is diagnosis. They should give you a clear diagnosis, actually show you the failed part, and provide upfront pricing before any work begins. Absolutely no hidden fees. And third, repair and testing. After the repair is done, they should thoroughly test the system through multiple cycles to verify the temperatures meet all specifications before they even think about leaving your property.
Now, to properly size a system, the industry relies on a critical standard known as Manual J. A lot of people think you can just buy an AC unit based on the square footage of your house. Nope. A Manual J calculation proves that square footage alone is not enough. A professional actually has to factor in your insulation levels, the total area of your windows, and even the directional orientation of your home to properly size a system. It's like a giant puzzle. If they just guess, you'll either end up with an oversized unit that short cycles all day or an undersized one that runs constantly without cooling your house.
Another vital standard to look out for is EPA Section 608. This is a strict federal regulation requiring technicians to properly recover and manage refrigerant rather than illegally venting it out into the atmosphere. Proper handling involves using precision digital scales and gauges instead of outdated rule-of-thumb guessing. This ensures that the environment is protected, all while guaranteeing that your incredibly expensive equipment operates safely and at absolute peak efficiency. So, we want to leave you with this critical thought to ponder today. Given the massive strain extreme weather puts on your equipment, those hidden foundation shifts secretly pulling apart your ducts, and the ticking clock of a 12 to 15-year lifespan, is your HVAC system secretly bleeding money right now? And more importantly, now that you've seen the real mechanics of how these systems fail, what exactly is your plan for when the next severe weather shift arrives? Take a moment today to go look at your outdoor unit, apply that 2-foot rule we talked about, and take control of your home's comfort. Thanks for joining us for this explainer.